Hello and welcome to another fun edition of Clifton's Clicks, your cliff notes to the cosmos. And as you might be aware, I'm not alone. I'm here with Victoria, who I mentioned I'm excited to do this video of because we're here to talk all about vibrational awareness. And before we get into it, and before Victoria shares her incredible story and what she has to share with us, I'd love to set the intention. And as always, I greet you all with incredible love and respect, gratitude, appreciation, motivation, and inspiration. And just let that feel, fill you, and me speak English properly. Yes, sometimes on the video we don't speak perfectly, but we just keep going with it. And so I thank you for your patience in those times. And it's an incredible opportunity for me to share with you the downloads that I've had, the clicks that I've had, and to bring incredible people on the show to share their incredible clicks because their clicks help propel my clicks and may be incredible ways to be that catalyst in your life to make that high vibratory shift and make that behavior change. And that's what we're here to talk about. So we're here to talk about vibrational awareness and those key points in which things may spiral up or spiral down. And I'd love to hear from Victoria a bit about your journey to vibrational awareness and how you've come to perceive it. So when did you first think about vibrations?
When I met you.
All right. How so? Take me back. And hold on. This is definitely. I'm gonna grab a cup of tea here. It's not sponsored by water today. We got a guest sponsor here, some Tulsi tea, or as Victoria calls it, some peaceful tea. Yes. So please, what do you mean by that?
So when we started talking this year, and you started sharing a lot of your clicks with me about the cosmos, I started getting my own realizations. And, I'm a nurse in background. I'm a holistic nurse now. But before that, I worked on a very crazy unit in the hospital. And I felt, well, that was the first time I found out that I was an empath, aka, like, I was very sensitive to a lot of energies around me. And every patient's room that you walk into is like entering another reality. And they just bring their whole bag of shit with them, and you get immersed and sucked into their world. And then you roll your cart down the hall and go in the next room, and then you don't know what awaits you there, but you do in a way. There was like certain patients' rooms I didn't want to go into, and I would like avoid like crazy. And I thought I was like a horrible nurse for not wanting to go see my patients, but I was afraid of what was awaiting for me on the other side of the door. And in a way, like, I intuitively knew that like I would feel like energetically drained from that interaction, or I would be in there for a long time, or they wouldn't be like appreciative or something. And as like a self-protection mechanism, I guess I was avoiding at all costs to go in these rooms. Meanwhile, thinking I'm a horrible nurse all the while. Yeah. So I realized a lot of the energies I was feeling in my day-to-day life, a lot of like, especially low moods, were not necessarily coming from my own being. They were coming from interactions with patients, let's say, because that's where I was first experiencing these low moods after coming home from my work in the hospital. And my spiritual journey took off from there, and the whole concept that all beings, everything is vibration, makes so much sense because you rub energies with people throughout the day, with environments, with work, with your commute, people on the subway, and everyone's like frantic or like trying to, everyone's trying to get somewhere on time, or they have a lot of things on their mind, and you're all next to one another, and you become a part of each person's different reality, and they come into your reality. So yeah, I would come home from work feeling completely like depleted and wiped out, and like not having any like life force for myself, and not no interest in pursuing like any hobbies or like seeing friends sometimes. Basically just like coming home, either passing out or just going through the fridge and like raiding the fridge, like I feel depleted right now. I need to recharge. I need to eat anything and everything I can get my hands on. So, what was your question?
That was your story. Yeah. So Victoria just intuitively knew, because she was an empath, that she was picking up people's vibes. She was being brought into their realities.
Mm-hmm.
And from a quantum perspective, Lynn McTaggart talks about the field. You know, we all live here on Earth, but there's only so many people that come into our field, our awareness at a specific time, and their energetic vibration impacts our field. And one of the things that Victoria talks about is coming home. You may have picked up some things.
Yeah, and at that moment in my life, I didn't really have a self-care practice. I wasn't doing any activities to put like the life force back in. It was before I had like a regular schedule doing yoga, and I was eating kind of like all over the place. And in the beginning, I worked night shift, so the sleeping was a little crazy too. And then like my working random days, 3 days a week, wasn't really conducive to like developing a consistent schedule. And then like when you're off, you want to like take off, like run away from your problems or the things that are plaguing you, I guess. So I was engaged in travel as like a form of escapism. Like, oh yeah, I'm a nurse. Like, oh, with all my free time, I'm gonna like chunk everything and take big vacations and skip town and like disappear for like a month, and then you come back and then you go back in that environment and you're like, oh my god, nothing changed. So it took a very difficult moment in my life for things to come crashing down, for me to realize how I had no life nurturing practices for me. And um, now is a completely different story.
So thanks for sharing. Yeah, a lot of her story resonates with me in the corporate world, and I'm sure many viewers, where we just find ourselves in a job or in a situation where we pick up other people's vibes. We may not know that we're picking up people's vibes, but we are scientifically. These situations tend to drain us, as she said, of our life force or of our energy. You know, I would get incredible bags under my eyes, and people have things called adrenal fatigue. You know, in the startup that I created, we had 95% of people have adrenal fatigue. And that's huge. The adrenals aren't working properly, they're overworked. Yet it's not diagnosed, or it's not really something people talk about.
It's like a lifestyle fatigue almost.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that lifestyle fatigue leads to like burnout, and it leads to, as she said, not life supporting choices, life draining choices, eating that junk food. And we know scientifically that when we are sleep deprived, we crave high caloric foods, which is why in the team setting, when we would work 80, 100 hours a week, we would have a bunch of junk food on the table. A lot of like Hostess or Twinkies or donuts or candy. I mean, it wasn't necessarily maybe. And actually, God,
and you would drive?
No, at Deloitte.
At
Deloitte. Like we would get fast food. It doesn't matter, because we just wanted to get that high caloric intake, because we were exhausted.
Yeah, we had the same thing, because like nurses would come and like bake something and you bring it in, or family members like, we brought you guys cookies, we have candy, and like let's say I didn't take a break till 4 p.m. you just come back in the break room, you're like, ow, that was a crystal.
Not just any crystal.
A galena.
A galena. Which, by the way, this is a great grounding crystal, and you can see how freaking heavy and thick it is. So that's what she was eating.
It's calorically dense. That's what I was going for.
Energetically dense, yes, high structure in that nature. Yes, so she would grab whatever she could that was calorically dense. A beautiful crystal example there. But the challenge is those foods are not necessarily high vibe foods, are they?
No, certainly not.
So how did you start to shift and see that it was about your lifestyle choices and your vibes that really was the difference for you?
Well, I had a life-altering event. In 2015, I was in a car accident, and I had a lower back injury from the car accident. Thankfully, I survived, and it wasn't beyond that. But it forced me to stop trying to run away from my problems and actually stay in town and figure out what's going on with me, because I had to miss work because I have a very physical job in nature. So I had to take care of my physical body, and I couldn't just like go travel or something, and had to use all my sick and vacation time to take care of me, which was like so new for me. And as I was reflecting at that point in my life, I was in a very low prana kind of area. So I just got out of a toxic relationship that was energy draining. My job was very energetically draining. I had a not so great roommate scenario where I unfortunately lived with a girl who was stealing my things. So very literal, but at the same time, like everything around me was like stealing my life force and not like nurturing or giving anything back.
What do you mean? Yeah, about like life force and draining.
Sure.
What is that?
So life force, I guess, is like your own innate energy, and there's different practices that you do to build it up, and there's things that deplete it. So, like how you talk about vibe, in a way, I would say it's something similar.
Nice. So at that point in time, how would you describe like life force? How would you know that you were energetically drained?
I would come home from work and, like you said, take Twinkies. It wasn't Twinkies, but you get the idea. Like snack on whatever I could find, like binge watch a TV show, maybe open a bottle of wine alone. Yeah, not every night, but
interesting. So what you were saying is you were feeling a certain way,
Yeah.
that caused you to take action and create behaviors that are pretty
Yeah.
common in our society.
Sure.
Binge watching, ordering Seamless, sitting on the couch for the weekends. I know for me, a lot of it was around football. Saturday was college football that you would watch, and then Sunday was NFL. And it was normalized, just like binge watching TV is normalized. It's almost glamour for glorified, right? And what you're literally doing is you're just sitting there as a couch potato, and we're saying, hey, this is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we've said that adrenal fatigue is fine. It's a part of like our interconnected world. It's like, no, we're not meant to have a thing that buzzes on our leg every 15 minutes, which creates a stimulus. Are you talking about cell phones? Yes, yeah, exactly. Which creates a stimulus that oftentimes releases cortisol, right? And sometimes adrenaline. And so some of the things that we're exploring is how society sort of normalized unhealthy, low vibe behavior. And what I love about your story that you shared was that you were going on a vacation, or you were leaving town, leaving your present situation when you had that car accident. And you essentially had to take a vacation from your previous lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because you had to nurture yourself.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things that I feel like we're here to share is how to have those cathartic moments before they happen to you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So I was on a very downward spiral at that point in my life. And, Clifton talks a lot about law of attracting things in your life based on whatever vibrational frequency you're on. So the type of vibrational frequency trajectory I was on was probably worthy of something as extreme and severe as that for me to get the wake-up call, because the little things, the little signs were not registering. I was like, I'm just feeling overwhelmed with emotion, but I just thought it was my own. And people use like various coping mechanisms to numb things, like alcohol, the most prevalent numbing agent in society. So many people taking antidepressants and things like that. Travel, even spiritual escapism. And very few people look inward as like the first step that they would do, or as the default, unless some sort of life altering event happens, or just a burning curiosity.
Yeah, and so she had that event. She had to take a second, a moment to reflect, like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
And so, perhaps you're in those moments where it's Friday night and you decide you're exhausted from your day, so you just simply sit on the couch, binge watch. I mean, the next episode of, I don't know, next season of Game of Thrones is being released. I mean, obviously it's over, but we in media, or media tends to try to continue your behaviors, your low vibe behaviors, because they can profit off of it.
And it's glorified.
And it's glorified, exactly. And so, take us through sort of your journey from that moment of the car accident to now, and kind of where you're headed. I'd love to hear sort of the spiral up version of what happened. So you knew you were spiraling down, and boom, you literally physically had a car accident. So you hit.
I hit rock bottom, literally.
You hit it.
Whatever.
And so share with us sort of like the experience of getting to where you are now and where you're headed.
Great, thank you. That's a great tie-in to getting to the next chapter, the spiral downward. Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, so I was forced to stick around in town and take care of my physical body. I had to go see chiropractors, massage therapists, physical therapists, all that stuff. I started meditating because I was like, what is this that just happened to me? I've got all this free time now. What else is out there? All these burning questions. Little by little, I started becoming more physically active and started taking a regular yoga class. And then I eventually broke ties with that job, which was super draining for me, into like a more steady, stable procedural area nursing job. So that was great for me. I had more energy to pursue passions and hobbies in my life. I felt very full of life, contrary to how I was feeling before the accident. So I started doing a lot of energizing things. I was like, let's do like inversions and yoga, which I was always scared about doing, and let's go rock climbing, and let's like start biking around the city, which people thought was crazy because I got in a car accident. I'm like, I'm gonna hop on a bike now. Yeah.
So you're out in nature, you're using your physical body again.
Exactly, appreciating it and not feeling drained while doing it. Being energized by the things that I was doing.
Yeah, one of the fascinating points is we tend to, when we get tired, to relax or sit on the couch or do something that we normally do when we're tired. But a lot of science has shown biochemically and energetically, those are the precise moments that you need to go to the gym. You need to have activity, because that's actually what's going to give you that energy. And for people in the sort of the biohacking space, they're constantly chasing that buzz, that high. Mm-hmm. And they talk about it is you don't need more caffeine.
Yes.
You need to move your body or drink water.
Yeah.
Or sleep, take a nap, right? I mean, you give your body what it needs to really recharge. It's almost like you're kind of going up a steep hill, and you just continue to throw more wood on that fire to burn that engine, when you could just say, hey, why don't we just stop and go right and go flat? Why don't we, instead of like doing this intense workout series or eating more of this kind of food, why don't we change our approach? And that's what you did. You changed your approach.
Yeah. And then I got more into, you want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep going. Please do. Yeah.
Okay. I got into aromatherapy, which was really invigorating and great and uplifting for the mood. And
why did you do aromatherapy?
Why?
What was going in? So you're doing biking, rock climbing. What was that like decision point? Take us back to it.
I met a friend who had essential oils or something. So I was like, I'm going to take a class and learn about this. And it was great. I started working with my hands and making my own blends of like body butters and dry shampoos and body washes and all that stuff. And even a skin healing salve, which I still use.
So you just looked at different hobbies that people had, and you attracted a friend into your life.
Yeah.
Who started to do this.
Yeah, a girl from my job who was like taking an aromatherapy class, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool. I wanna try this." So I never had that kind of desire to take on projects or that kind of like creative drive to be like, "Oh, cool. Let me do this. Let me put my hand in this. Let me put my hand in that." And that's something that changed for me.
That's awesome. So even in your workplace, you found a pathway to
Mm-hmm.
go. So sometimes people might have the illusion that you have to like drop everything and explore the world to go find yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But your path to a higher vibe life was actually connecting with a coworker in your current workspace.
Sure.
Is that
Yeah, I mean, I was exploring the world and still coming back like, same me, same everything.
yeah? So you found someone else's hobby as something
Yeah.
that you were very passionate about. So you followed your passion, staying rooted in your current workspace,
Mm-hmm.
and you were able to then explore, create, share a bit about how that made you feel and what did that lead you to next?
It was like, I guess, the gateway drug to the next thing that came, which was Reiki.
How did you go from aromatherapy to Reiki?
I learned about it at Burning Man.
Wait, why did you go to Burning Man? How do you go from like hospital to aromatherapy, mountain biking and biking and rock climbing to aromatherapy? I get that connection.
Yeah.
So how do you go from aromatherapy to Burning Man?
Oh, a friend from nursing and I wanted to take a trip together, and we were like, we want to go to Burning Man. And I was looking at camps online, and one of them was like a holistic healing arts camp. So I was like, okay, then that's great. I'll have a nice gift offering. I'll have like my aromatherapy products. I'll do like sessions with the campmates and stuff like that. And while I was there, I had the amazing opportunity to experience what Reiki was for the first time in my life. And I felt like very uplifted by it. I was like, what is this stuff? They're like energetically perceptive, but like in a positive way, not like in a negative way. Like they're just inundated by all this emotion and things around them. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. I might check that out when I get home. Note to self.
Nice. Okay, so we got the Burning Man to Reiki, but please take me back and explain because I haven't even been to Burning Man, and it hasn't like it's sort of calling my name. But how did you go? How did you decide you wanted to travel? Why Burning Man? Why not like some cruise ship or go to Europe or something? What?
Oh,
Why did you and your nurse friend choose Burning Man?
I guess it was like a bucket list thing, like something you always wanted to try, and that's like kind of what I was doing at that point in my life. Like, oh, tried this, check, tried that, check, great. I want to feel alive.
Okay, so you were still performing sort of that. Would you say it was a bit of like escapism at that point to go to Burning Man, or was it a
It was
little
a
more intentional?
curiosity. It was more intentional. It was like a seeking, I would say. We went from like escapism to more seeking, I would say.
Awesome. Okay, so Burning Man was on your list, your bucket list,
Yeah.
for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it was on it, and it happened to correlate once you took that shift in your life and played with aromatherapy.
Mhm.
Now you're doing Burning Man. You experienced Burning Man. Now you're coming back and you're doing Reiki.
Yes.
Okay,
But I
and
wasn't doing Reiki yet.
okay.
I was like, okay, let's read about Reiki when I come back.
Okay, so you were exposed to it, you
Yes.
experienced it.
Yes.
And then, okay. Were there other behaviors in your life that were kind of shifting at that point too when you came back from Burning Man?
Yeah, I felt like I really liked the environment, the culture of the Burning Man community, the principles that they stand by, and I feel like a lot of people come home a little bit like popped open, like you're just kind of your highest expression of you for a week and a half or 2 weeks in the desert with all these people, and it's just like very inspiring to be around. So I came back with a lot of inspiration and oomph to try new things and do new things.
Awesome. So one thing led to another thing to
Yes.
another thing.
It was a spiral, if you will.
Yeah, a spiral up.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so you're back now. You've been exposed to Burning Man, which I'm not quite sure what that means, but maybe one day. And so you're back, and you come back to the same nursing job, or what kind of
It was the same job.
nice? And how did you view that job after like a Burning Man type experience?
I was like, what is this? I need, like, I don't want to book my vacations a year out in advance and have everything pre planned and structured for the whole year. I want to like start my own business and work for myself. And oh, that's something else that I was doing. I forgot to mention. After my car accident, I started reading all these books that were like inspiring me to look at alternative lifestyles, like lifestyle design, like 4 Hour Work Week was a huge inspiration, and all the books that would fall in that same genre I was reading at the same time. So I was like, I need to be my own boss. I need to start my own business. So I was just looking for the right, I guess, like holistic practice is what I was interested in at that moment. And
Keep going.
yeah, okay. Well, I'm backtracking a little bit because my life's like flashing before my eyes, and I don't know exactly where this conversation is going to go in what direction. I started also going to, like, right after the accident, going to a bunch of like healthcare tech startup conferences because I was like, yeah, I feel like I don't like this healthcare system, and I feel very depleted by it. And we'll probably get to all this stuff later because I know Clifton.
Keep going. We're here.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We are here. Please talk about it. All right.
Yeah. So I wanted to do consulting projects as a nurse, clinical specialist for all these startups that do tech stuff that want to innovate healthcare.
Nice. So you did the nursing job. You started to explore what we might categorize as more high vibe activities.
Yes.
Being out in nature, using your body,
having more control over your life. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Creative expressions, dealing with plants and nature, going to Burning Man, having transformative experiences there,
and meeting Clifton before
being exposed to all these different things, and then realizing that you want more control in your life. You don't want to plan everything a year in advance. There's some things that current society does and normalizes that just doesn't resonate with you, such as booking your life a year in advance for your vacation.
Yes.
And so then you started
with seniority in mind too. So
tell us about that.
Well, I was at a very stable job, so in terms of seniority I was like pretty low on the priority list, so I had a lot of people ahead of me, so it wasn't guaranteed that I would go to Burning Man the following year.
So even though you had to like book your vacation a year in advance, because she was in her position and it was based off of seniority, she wasn't even guaranteed those dates that she wanted anyway.
Yeah.
That they were forcing her to make. Okay. So then you're like, I want more control of my life. And you started to read books and take control of your education and pursue your passions and start to think about what kind of company you would want to create or join that would give you more flexibility, freedom, and creativity.
Yes.
And that's how we met. Yes, so she manifested me and I manifested her at a New York City health tech assembly meetup out here in Manhattan. And it was our sort of shared passions, me being from business school, venture capital, and looking at medical technologies and healthcare startups, and her actually living it, being a nurse and working with patients, looking to create more control, more ownership over her life, and really direct the healthcare treatment in the way that she wished to do so. Nice. And fast forward to now, and we're here. No, okay. So what was great, and I'll share a bit about that story. I think I may have before, but we met in an elevator, and it was very cute. At least from my perspective, we got along. We clicked very well. I think she was going to Bali, or she just come from Bali.
Going to Thailand.
She was going to Thailand, and I just come from Cambodia and Angkor Wat, so we connected over that. So once again, another sort of embedded, secret spiritual connection, because I was going to Southeast Asia because bucket list of MBAs is go to Southeast Asia one of your two, during one point of your 2 years there. And so we were connecting on that, and I asked her out for drinks. And we had our first date then, and we didn't have our second date for 3 more years because there was something that I needed to go through and things that she needed to go through.
Burning Man.
and probably I had more things to go through than she did in that period of time, because of where my energetic state and my trauma and my inner space was. Um, she called me a finance bro? A finance bro. Yes, a finance bro.
Not to his face, just in my head. I was like, I don't know, finance bro.
Yeah, so when we were there, it was kind of odd. She reminded me a lot of a previous girlfriend, and then also like I really liked her, but I also didn't like her. So unknowingly, what I was picking up was my over dominating vibe towards her, but then being internally conflicted because I'm also feeling her repulsion of me, and so
it's not repulsion.
Well, from an energetic perspective, it was definitely not like, hey, let's make out, right here. Um, so we parted ways. We parted ways, and I'd love to hear. Although intermittently, I would keep in touch with her, just sort of throwing a Hail Mary of like, maybe she'll bite. She'll bite on this.
Maybe she'll want to go salsa dance.
Yeah, salsa dancing, or there's some cool astrology thing because I know she was into that stuff. But yeah, what happened since then until now? If you can kind of fast track it.
Sure. So when I got back from Burning Man, I was like, okay, this job not really suiting me right now. I want to take more courses like aromatherapy or something, and like start my own practice of some sort. Let me maybe check out this Reiki. So a nurse manager from my hospital who actually we have a integrative health department, which is where I currently work, so you can guess where this story is going. She reached out to me because she knew about me from aromatherapy classes that I took, and she was looking for coverage for someone's maternity leave, and she was like, what other holistic skill sets do you have? Can you do X? Can you do Y? Do you do Reiki? And I'm like, Reiki's coming up again. Is this a sign from the universe? So I met with her, and basically I was like, listen, I'm interested in this kind of work. What do I got to do? Do I need to? I'll study Reiki. Cool, sure, why not? So I signed up for a class that weekend at the New York Open Center, and then like that before the class even ended, I was like signed up for class 2 for Reiki 2, and yeah, I was super excited that I could tune into my own energy. And Reiki 1 is all about the self, which is I really wanted to get that down before I started working with other people and doing like self-care to your body head to toe, and just like becoming energetically perceptive of like energy in your palms, energy you're radiating from different centers in your body, your crown, your heart, things like that. So I started working there as like a second job per diem while doing my job at the stress lab. So, and doing Reiki clients on the side, taking them for appointments in my own home, setting up a little office space, and looking for the opportunity to break away from that yet again. It was my goal to work full-time at the holistic nursing job and do the Reiki or home practice on the side. And it wasn't happening for some reason. Well, let me backtrack for a second. You can say that I law of attracted this opportunity to me where I wasn't really necessarily looking for it, but it kind of like fell into my lap. It was like serendipitous. Hey, do you know Reiki? Do you want to? What
job,
other holistic
the
skill
job.
set? Yeah. That was a point I wanted to make. That I was now law of attracting completely different circumstances into my life than I had been previously, and I was like, "Is this happening to me? Pinch me."
Probably because she went on a date with me. Doubtful, because of all of the inner work and journey that she had already taken up into that point. You had started to spiral up, and the law of attraction, instead of attracting negative actions, activities, events towards your life, started to attract positive things. Like, oh, this sounds cool.
Yeah.
And to hear that she is a nurse at a well-known hospital doing Reiki is like, what? How did you get that job? And she law of attraction, which is powerful.
Yeah.
Nice.
It is. Very grateful that opportunity brought me to where I am today, and that it opened a whole new world for me. So a lot of gratitude to Reiki and all the holistic practices I've studied.
Beautiful. And so what happened next? You know, you were doing Reiki at the hospital. I know that we had connected about astrology, so now I was sending an astrologist to her. How is your? I mean, I was just sending anything I could think of to like rehook her, because I'm like, this one is a catch. You know, how do I catch her? And the joke is, she caught me, right? You know, we'll get to that point in the story, but yeah, had your lifestyle shifted, or was it primarily simply your job at that point that shifted?
Well, I was doing like yoga regularly, and I was meeting like some friends through yoga practice. Law of attracting new friends with shared hobbies into my life, and new travel buddies and stuff. Just like the quality of people that I was attracting was better, and I don't know, I was just like excited about a lot of things.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think where you're going with this is what happened after that.
Sure. I have no idea where I'm going. But if you know where I'm going, then go there.
That's where I thought you were going. Okay. Yeah, so Clifton was sending me astrology clips, and I was like, let me check out this like Namaste Today show, this Series Joy. What is this? So I started listening to it, and I was like, oh my God, it's not me that's just crazy. It's like some kind of crazy energy in the universe right now. This planet's doing that, and this is out of whack, and whatever. And I was like, oh, we're all going through this. So instead of feeling like an empath in silo in my room, like crying after work, trying to like release things or figuring out why I'm feeling such a way, I was like, we're all going through this. There's a lot of us who are sensitive to these things.
Oh yeah, because from a quantum perspective, every planet has a specific frequency, and the alignment of that frequency impacts our overall frequency. Just like the Schumann resonance is the resonance of Earth, that is what we are collectively working to elevate the vibration of through the collective consciousness expansion and awakening process. But the inroads for her was understanding that there was astrology, which may not have been so quantum focused, but astrology was talking about how the alignments of the planet makes everyone feels the way that she was feeling.
Yeah, and at that point, I decided to reach out to Clifton and say, hey, thanks for sending me this astrology stuff.
Got her.
It's made a difference in my life. I've seen a lot of shifts, and it's really resonating with me, so thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you, Namaste Today, Chris Witecki, for that. And then at that point, she was in my mind when I had to do a 21 people in 24 hours to practice a specific power of the third eye through my guru, Bhagavan Sri Nityananda Paramashiva, and she happened to be awake. So we did it, and I blew her mind. She's like, what is this?
It was an Akashic reading.
Yeah, it was an Akashic reading. And a body scan. Yes. And, if I could personify her at that point, she was that sort of tough nurse from Staten Island who's like very skeptical about in Brooklyn, yeah, who was very skeptical about anything, and it was just a lot of fire about and like doubt and like what is this? What do you mean? This isn't perfect, This isn't like where's the communication on this? Where's the science behind this? But she took that leap of faith and continued to connect with me and get more Akashic readings.
Wait, what he didn't say is, I was like, how did this finance bro get to where he is? He just like literally leaped over my head in spirituality.
Not competitive at all.
Because I was like, wait, I've been perpetually on this path since 2015, gradually spiraling upward. This guy, he like took the elevator.
Yeah, I teleported. Not even an elevator. I teleported. And so that got her interested in the lifestyle in Nityananda. And over this past year, she's really made some incredible leaps and bounds in her lifestyle, in her relationships, and in her health. Yes. And I'd love for you, just if you want to quickly share some of the highlights that you've shifted and where you're actually headed off in a few weeks.
Great. Yeah. So the first thing that I did a 21-day completion process cleansing program to kind of help you shed the karma and things that weigh you down in this life, which is like from past lives. And as like the layers start getting peeled off, you get closer to the core of your being, and it's like that gross sediment comes up and you work through it. You kind of see like what resonates with you and what doesn't. And nobody forced me. I just felt called to start cutting out certain things in my diet, like animal products, to see more benefit from the stuff that I was doing, seeking spiritually. And I stopped drinking alcohol and was looking for alternative ways to connect with people and I don't know, a different mode of entertainment, because why do we just have to go out and drink all the time? I was like, we can connect with people otherwise. Most people just drink to connect with people anyway, but it's not a connecting activity. Anyway, so that was another major lifestyle shift. Then I was like, okay,
And by the way, these
Yeah.
lifestyle shifts, they weren't forced upon her.
Yeah,
She simply just kind of woke up, or just
exactly.
was like, oh,
It was the spiral upward. I was like, well, if we're doing this, then I got to do this, and I got to do this, because what I was doing up until that point was doing the spiritual practices, like going to yoga and meditation and stuff, Reiki, but without any of like the lifestyle adaptations that are necessary to get any benefit from those high vibe practices, which is very common in millennials, people our age. As people are becoming more and more awakened, they're like meditation is no longer woo woo and yoga is super common. A lot of people are doing these things, but then like going out drinking and then they're hungover and they go to yoga and they're sweating it out. And
I was one of those in business school. For
see,
sure.
exactly. So a lot of people just do these things without actually reaping the benefit of these practices that they're doing, because you're not maintaining that elevated vibe beyond the class. So you kind of go there, zone out for your hour-long vinyasa class or something, and then afterwards it's like, let's go to boozy brunch.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges of, in the healthcare space that don't really have an understanding of vibrational awareness, which is where we're headed to next. Is they don't connect the dots. They say, oh, we got to do a 21-day no alcohol
Detox, right?
detox.
Yeah.
But they don't actually. It's a force. It's like a masculine type energy of forcing you to not do it, and you're like craving it. You want it. You're fighting it, and then you're celebrating the accomplishment of like doing it 21 days, most likely with a boozy brunch or another bad lifestyle habit, rather than what she was doing was she just
naturally the things were just like dropping. I was like, okay, now we're getting like, I stopped eating meat because I was in Trader Joe's and all the meat was sold out that was organic, and I was only eating organic, and the fish was like, I don't know, previously frozen or something and not wild caught. And I was like, well, what else is there? I guess there's tofu, tempeh, beans, veggies.
Yeah, and everyone's different in that transitionary period.
If you're in Aries, you do it that day.
Yeah, I remember when she called me and she's like, yeah, I just got back from Trader Joe's. I went and completely vegan, and I got all vegetarian food, and I got plants.
And
You'd
I
be
hit
so
up
proud
a
of
plant
me.
sale.
Yeah, she bought plants and went vegetarian all on the same day. Me, I was studying like macroeconomics and like the indicator for feed to protein conversion ratio, and thinking, oh, the optimal solution for the planet is to go vegetarian. And she goes, there's
like Trader Joe's dictates the trends, and there was no animal products to be consumed there, so I was just like, time for the switch.
Yeah, and so we're all different in getting to that realization, but it's a powerful realization, and it's one that we're not forcing ourselves to make. It's just one we come to, ourselves, and it creates behavior changes in us that just naturally exude the message and the high vibrational intention that these activities are doing. Because when I did yoga, I would go play flag football and like bang up my knees, tear my hamstrings, and then go into hot yoga and be like, oh, I sweat it out. Yeah, my knees, they're super painful, but the yoga fixed it. And then I'll go back and play.
Right.
And that would just continue to spiral me downward, maybe go up a little bit, but still spiral downward. I wasn't actually making creating that launchscape velocity that you need in rockets to actually elevate your vibe and maintain it. You're not maintaining a homeostasis of high vibratory persona. Awesome. And so, okay, so you did the no drinking, the vegetarian.
Right. Then I was like, okay, I'm still doing this like stress testing nursing job. I said I've been wanting to jump ship from that and do my, holistic nursing job full time, but that hasn't happened yet because of some bureaucratic stuff at the hospital, and do my own practice on the side. But because I was so busy with all like my lifestyle prior to this being a distraction and the two jobs bouncing back and forth, I didn't have the focus to really hone in on what I wanted to do and make a serious plan for leaving my full-time job and for pursuing my passions as my full-time career.
And one of the things too that I'd love to put out there is that this spiritual journey and doing high vibe work when you are in that transitory period, at least for right now, is the acknowledgement and determination to do more work. It's not like she was doing less work. Like doing less work is sitting on the couch and binge watching Netflix. But she would stay up 11, 12, 1 o'clock at night doing internal work, doing this lifestyle transformation. And the high vibe lifestyle is not about doing less and being in like the Zen meditative state all day. It's actually about how you can optimize the 24 hours that we all have to be in the highest vibratory state possible, so that way we can go and create as much as possible in the amount of time that we have. And so, her continuous devotion, dedication, and persistence is something to be pointed out here, because it's not for the faint of heart to go through this path, because you have every excuse possible to not pursue it. Because you're changing your lifestyle, you're addressing your internal trauma, you're redefining your boundaries and relationships with the world.
Yeah, and it's scary because you see little by little when certain things no longer suit you and they just start dropping, or you unclutch from them. That applies to jobs, relationships, lifestyles, like alcohol. Like, how many friends do you bond over brunch or going out drinking on Friday or Saturday night? So, I had to kind of suggest other alternatives we can do instead. And sometimes people weren't so keen on that.
Yeah, so not only do you have to become creative with what to do with the time and take ownership over those interactions. I know I've been sort of the person who kind of just goes with the flow, and wherever people are going to have the meal or whatever they're going to do, I'll go along with them. But with the more high vibratory lifestyle, their natural proclivity is towards low vibratory spaces or activities. And so it's about being even more intentional with taking ownership of those interactions and saying, hey, instead of going to this restaurant, we're going to go to this one. Instead of going to this bar, we're going to go do this activity. And so it's very powerful, because one, you have to take ownership even more of those interactions, but two, is as you said, some people may not be there yet or may not resonate with those kinds of activities.
Yeah, so what I started doing was, because I didn't want to be out late and to interfere with like the meditation cleansing process I was doing, because I was every night at like 8:30, I would invite friends over. Like, hey, do you want to, I'll cook you dinner and we'll meditate or something. Like, welcome to the new me. And I would host friends over for dinner and make like something delicious in the Instant Pot and have like enriching conversations about spirituality, about like self-work, about like, I don't know, yoni eggs, whatever. And then like we'd do like some meditations together, and it's great. Like, you woke up on Sunday feeling like a spring chicken.
It's your favorite saying ever. Spring chicken. And I'm
ready to seize
all the
day.
images I've seen of chickens these days aren't very springy.
As we say on Thanksgiving,
So that's great. And tell us like where you're headed to in the next few weeks, and how you've changed your lifestyle. You're doing incredible behaviors. You're seeing how you're spending your day to day, doing more high vibe things.
Yes.
You're really putting in the work and extra effort and will persistence. And where has that gotten you to today and where you're headed?
Yeah, so in just 2 weeks, I'm going to India to do the same program that Clifton did last year with our guru, Sri Paramahamsa Nityananda. And I'm excited. It's going to be an immersive 3 week long inner awakening journey into like super consciousness. And yeah.
Yeah, this is the Michael Jordan moment, going and playing in the NBA championships. What you haven't seen is the incredible amount of effort and work that she put in, and the tears and the yelling and the crying and the,
had to douse the fire
change,
numerous times.
getting all that trauma out so that way she can be ready for this experience, because it is such, when you set an intention and sort of from that law of manifestation, and if you set it so powerfully, I'm going to go to basically this ashram that has a direct source to direct connection to source, you follow it. Life's like, all right, well, these are all the things you got to get through before you get through it. You got to get through your trauma, your lifestyle, your self-doubt, your guru issues, all these things. And she's persistently done it day in, day out, while maintaining her job as a nurse, while playing with the morning routines and these different lifestyles that are actually scientifically engineered to elevate your vibe in the shortest amount of time. And so, I'm very excited for her to go, and very much been helping her with that journey. And so just, I'm kind of like she calls me a spring chicken. She's like my child going off to school. I'm excited to see what she comes back with. And one of the things that we both wanted to share and talk about, which, thank you for sharing your story and getting us all caught up, is understanding the science of vibrational awareness and spiraling up for spiraling down.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love for us in the next 10 minutes as we conclude to really explore sort of those key points in which you made intentional decisions to spiral up rather than spiral down, and what you see that society can do and you can do in your life to really make the least amount of change with the most
Mm-hmm.
amount of effort. The Pareto principle, which is 80% of the gain based off of 20% of the work. Something that Jim Ferriss talked about, and something that Victoria, incredible eye for effectiveness and high standards integrity is what is okay. Yeah, there's all this stuff, and I'm at wherever I'm at, and yes, I get it. Congratulations, you're gonna go to an ashram, you're living that yogic lifestyle, but I'm still here in this, like, maybe I just had that car accident, or maybe I'm headed towards that car accident.
Hopefully not.
Yes, and you're watching this, so you've attracted this in your life to watch it, to make that shift in you. But what would be like those key areas, looking back on your progress and your journey, what would be those key areas where you say, hey guys, maybe just make this one or two minor changes, and that'll have a really incredible impact in your journey to create a high vibe life? So what would you say?
I would say that the biggest lifestyle modification would have to be taking back your Saturday night, I call it. Because Saturday and Friday night is when we're most susceptible to some of our lowest vibratory behaviors, like going out and binge drinking with colleagues, or going clubbing. I don't know, people, whatever, recreational drugs.
No, not that part.
It's like, okay.
The clubbing and the drinking. Yeah.
Or gambling. I guess people gamble. Yeah, all that stuff. Like turning that in for having a few close friends over for dinner and some, I don't know, nice enriching conversation I found very rewarding. And not everyone's going to go for it. And hopefully you're the one in your group that can enrich the others about why this is so key, about law of attracting all of the important things you care about into your life, like the relationship, the job that doesn't suit you, to cut ties with it, because many people spend their weekend in a bit of a stupor. and you're working hard during the week, you're looking forward to that weekend, and the second it hits, just like when the bell used to ring in school, you're like out that door and like reserving a table for happy hour, and then like the weekend becomes a blur because like if you're out late partying, that spirals into sleeping in on Sunday. That we've mentioned like the binge watching TV, like Netflix, ordering Seamless, or going to boozy brunch or something, and it's not a very connecting activity when you have your head buried under the pillow, like, oh God, headache, please go away, and I have to go to work on Monday. I'm never drinking again.
Yeah, so Saturday nights, because one of it might be hard to change your job. Like it is hard to change your job. It might be a little difficult to change your dietary lifestyle. There might be some work to be done. But think about it. From Monday through Friday, for the typical person, 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 or all day, every day for some people, you're in your job.
Mm-hmm.
So when Saturday comes around, even if you're working Saturday, when Saturday night comes around, it's when you have freedom of choice.
Yes.
And it's in that period of time that you can choose things that will spiral you upwards or spiral you downwards. Yeah. And so an interesting thing you could do is you can just observe how your past few Saturday nights have been. And that will demonstrate to you what kind of vibe your law of attracting. Mm-hmm. In a way, it's kind of like when you're in school and you're under the support and guidance of the teachers and the administration, and then as you said, the bell rings and you're off. You're off until back in the day, you're off to go head home, and your parents might not come home for a few more hours, so you have that free time. What do you do in that free time?
Right.
And so choose something that is high vibratory, that is self-reflective, that is connective at a high vibratory rate. And so, as Victoria mentioned, community, what she did was she instead brought friends over to her place, and perhaps no alcohol or...
Yeah, another reason was because sometimes I would go out to bars still with friends and order like a seltzer or water, and like people look at you like you're pregnant or something, or like preparing for a colonoscopy or but it like wasn't fun for me in that crowd anymore. And it's really great that more and more non-alcoholic drinks are appearing on the scene. Non-alcoholic bars like Listen Bar, which is really cool, crafting like nice gourmet mocktails rather, that are not loaded with sugar. And everyone there is there with the same purpose, to actually connect with people and have nice, engaging conversations sober. So just shy of places like that, going out and doing the same stuff I was doing before was no longer exciting to me.
Yeah, and this is something, depend on where you live as well. Like for me, I might prefer to do a little more introspection as opposed to having people over. So doing things like a self-love bath or journaling or meditation.
Clifton's an introvert. I had to quench my extroverted, needs.
I'm an extrovert. I'm everything. Come on, we're whatever we want. But the point is if bringing people over to your house doesn't sound like fun, there's still things you can do by yourself that'll put you in that high vibe state. And there's something unique about living in a place that's high density like New York, is that, and now with Uber, you can get wasted. Before, I come from LA, you would have to drive. And so it limited, to a certain degree, the amount of alcohol you could take. Mm-hmm. But because technology is allowing us to not have to drive.
Yeah, did you see the ads for Uber or for Lyft? That like you should probably get a ride home. It's like you should get a ride home.
Yeah, so it's still playing into like supporting
that drinking culture.
The drinking culture. And if you go to places that are more rural, like in Denver, where there's much less people, they go to bars not to get drunk, but to connect and authentically connect. So it is a theme in heavily dense areas to close off from connections. And so wherever you're watching this from, if you're watching this from New York, LA, or like rural areas, there are more high vibe things that you can be doing, including,
especially these days,
simply taking one less drink. That's a step in the right direction. One less drink and you may not have a hangover the next day. One less drink and then you'll save a little bit of extra money. And then the week after, just drink water. I mean, I've done that
That's
before.
funny, 1 day water fast.
Well, yeah, 1 day water. I mean, at the bar.
Oh.
Is if your friends are still going to the bar, order water with lime. I used to do that when I wanted to save some money. And it led to then eventually being able to get to that point that you're talking about.
Yeah, and luckily the sobriety movement is a thing. When I was going through my transition, I stumbled upon kin, which is a great drink that you can mix into. I was actually on my friend's show who was covering a piece on kin for her German news station, and stumbled upon this book, Sober Curious, from Ruby Warrington, which also is great. It completely resonated with how I was feeling in that moment in my life.
Yeah. And for the bros out there, Saturday night is college football night, right? What do? You go tailgate, you go drink a ton, and then you go watch a bunch of dudes bang into each other. Good time. But when you tailgate, maybe just drink water or drink less alcohol or host people at your place instead. You can still have the game on, but you're creating more authentic connections than being herded like cattle through the stadiums. So wherever you find yourself, think about your Saturday nights and think about how instead of doing things that might create a lower vibe in you, will spiral you up into a higher vibe. And things like your alcoholic intake is something to consider. Things about like the venue at which you spend your Saturday night, and the types of connections and the intentionality, I think, is really what this distills into is what is your intention on Saturday night? Is your intention to get drunk, to escape, to, have crazy stories?
Yeah. You're not going to meet that guy you want to date at the bar. I guarantee that.
Yeah, you're going to meet them at the Health Tech Assembly. But yeah, think about the intention. And even if you are going out to that bar or that tailgate, what is your intention? Is your intention to get wasted, to just escape, to bitch about your work and your life? Because that's only going to bring in more lower vibe things into your life. Is your intention to connect with people, to grow, to inspire others, inspire yourself, find your passion? Then I would say that is a really incredible way of entering into it. And the more intentional you are with it, the better it becomes. And there's incredible activities, movements, and companies that are supporting a more high vibe Saturday night.
Yes.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add to this? I think this has been...
It's been long enough, I think.
I don't know long enough. This has been incredible. This has been an incredible connected talk to where we heard Victoria's journey of ascension, of high vibeness. And we've identified like a key, like that first point of wherever you're at, we all have control of our Saturday nights. So think about where you are spending your Saturday nights. Think about the intention you have going into your Saturday nights. And that may just be the difference between you perpetuating a low vibe lifestyle or spiraling up into attracting the life you wish to live.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Well said, Clifton. Well, I thank you for hosting me on your show. It's been a lovely experience. You are a fantastic host, making people feel comfortable and opening up for people, anyone who's meant to see this. I'm very excited to have been a part of this.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure. And as always, it's my pleasure to create these clips and videos for you. If you have any comments, please put them below. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Please like his show. It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And as always, I thank you so much, and I give you so much love and respect and gratitude, appreciation, motivation. And I am your host, Clifton Smith, with my beautiful, lovely, incredible guest today, Victoria Petrovsky, and we wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.